Welcome to the latest Wax Ecstatic Pack Break. I'm your host, Matt Sammon, and this week we're opening up a box of a classic from the junk wax era, 1989 Topps. Now, even though I may call this a classic, it is far from anything that is of high value, as collectors know. Back in the day, if you pulled the Conseco card, then you might have had a dollar card coming out of the pack. But very few cards these days from this set are valued at over 50 cents. It's one of the mass-produced sets that are still floating out there. But it's still fun to open these up. And if you know my story, you know that 89 Topps was the first pack that I bought, the first set that I started collecting, the hook for me to get into the hobby. So this was a bargain bin beauty at the local card show. I think I paid $5, maybe $6 for the box. And it's still just fun to open these things up. So even though there's not a lot of cash value, this is just one of those why not purchases that you tend to make. And why not? Let's open up 4 of these packs like we typically do on this program, see what's inside. And on this week's show, which will be coming out on Friday, noon Eastern via Audio Boom and iTunes, podcasts, or Apple Podcasts, I should say, and all of our other channels, we'll talk a little bit about this particular set. And remember, a couple weeks ago, we did a podcast on 89 Upper Deck and how that was such a game changer. And you'll just see how Topps was a little slow to changing to the game, at least in the base set. But still, 89 with a very classic design. And even though they, for whatever reason, held off on the very lucrative Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card for the traded set, you could still find some beauties inside these packs here and at a pretty cheap price. So pack number 1, as we open up with the 31-year-old piece of bubble gum, not only stuck to the back of Chuck Finley's card here, but leaving that stain. I've actually thought about doing this. I've purchased boxes of cards where the gum sticks to the back and you've got the gum stain on the back. I've actually thought about, instead of throwing these out, keeping these and just seeing what kind of an all-star team I can assemble with the gum-stained cards. I think I still have some from a box of 87 Topps I opened up several months ago. All right, the Topps Company store card. These are some of my favorites because these were inserts, and we'll talk a little bit about the inserts. And I've talked about the company store cards before. But seriously, would you be caught dead wearing this sweatshirt? Especially when it's the high-quality, puffy lettered sweatshirt. Would you really want to wear that? I would think not. But I digress. We've got Bruce Ruffin, Gary Thurman. Funny thing about Gary Thurman, every card that I see, he looks like one of the witch doctors in the James Bond movie Live and Let Die. But I'll talk a little more about that in the podcast. Jim Corsi of the Oakland Athletics. We've got John Shelby of the Dodgers. Johnny Ray of the Angels, Marty Barrett of the Red Sox. There's gum-stained Chuck Finley right there. Another great Angel name from the past, Jack Lazorko. You got Scott Bales, not to be confused with Scott Baio, of course. John Tudor, Al Nipper. Boy, some great names here from the 80s. The Big O, Orestes Destrada. Oh, the beloved checklist. We all love a good checklist card, don't we? Glenn Hubbard near the end of his career with Oakland. And Mike Campbell. Just damn glad to be with the Mariners. All right, so there we go with that first stellar pack there. So good I'm just spilling the cards everywhere. So we will send that off to the Topps Hall of Fame in Brooklyn, New York. All right, let's open up pack number 2 here. So Sid Fernandez with the wax stain. Ryan Sandberg with the gum stain. So that is just a Hall of Fame gum stain right there. So you got Chuck Finley and Ryan Sandberg. Not a bad all-star team of gum stains. Let's see. Our another wonderful puffy lettered sweatshirt here, style A. All right, we've got Todd Stottlemyre, the ultimate red ass. Paul Molitor. So this makes up for the Ryan Sandberg that was spoiled. El Presidente, Denny Martinez. We've got Hendu, Dave Henderson. Pretty good stack of cards here. Oops. And then we've got Melito Perez. Well, it was a good run while it lasted. Dwayne Ward, a very underrated relief pitcher from back in the day. There's the gum-stained Sandberg. We've got German Gonzalez, or it's probably Herman Gonzalez. Louis Rivera. Love the specs there with the Expos jersey. Speaking of Expos, your Expos leaders. Tim Raines there. Another checklist. Felix Fermin. Gene Walter, certainly a little happier to be with the Mariners in that picture. Darnell Coles and Sid Fernandez. All right, so we got a little better roster of names there. Let's see what we can find in pack number 3 here. See what all-star gum stain we've got going here. All right, well, Dale Mahorsich with the wax stain. And it's Mike Krukow's turn to be plastered with the bubble gum. Good for him. One of my favorite Topps Company store cards here, the Fur Ball. we talked about this one before. The hat with the puffy ball that you could move around or move off. Lovely. The late Ivan Calderon, a fierce hitter who was just on some really bad teams, the White Sox and the Expos back then. Brian Harvey, we've talked about him, a very underrated closer for the Angels, revived his career with the Marlins. We've got Keith Hernandez drying out here. Teddy Higuera, this was when he was still a prime pitcher. In fact, let me look back here. 88, yeah, 16-9. Not quite the 20-11 season he had in 86, but underrated, had a very short run in the big leagues, but also playing with Milwaukee back in the day, often went unnoticed. We've got Bruce Eggs Benedict at the end of his career. We've got the Wizard, Ozzie Smith, love that card. There's Krukow, and look, the gum's even coming through the front. I don't know if you could see that here on the card, but yeah, right there underneath his name. We've got our Mets leaders, Kevin McReynolds, Darryl Strawberry, and Keith Hernandez. There's a lot of Columbia represented in that card. Greg Harris of the Padres. Chris Carpenter, damn glad to be there. Is that airbrushed? I believe that is airbrushed. Perhaps. I think he might be wearing a Louisville shirt, but it looks like it's one of the few final airbrushed cards of that time. Matty Noakes with the Detroit Tigers. We've got our Oral Hershiser All-Star card. Mike Capel, he owes me money. He's from the Cubs. Alvin Davis of the Mariners, and as I mentioned, Dale Mahorsich, as seen in the old Tiger Stadium back there. All right, pack number 4. Again, a why bother, or why not, I shouldn't say why bother, or why not purchase. Our gum stain is Larry McWilliams. Poor Larry McWilliams. Well, I'm sure he'll at least be remembered for something other than a gum stain on his card. Let's see, our Topps Company store with the puffy lettered sweatshirt Style D with the logo that looks a lot like the lead graphic to the TV show Wings. Remember that show in the late 80s? All right, we've got Jim Fregosi of the White Sox. Love the dreaded manager card. Stan Javier, again in Tiger Stadium. Looks like he's up to no good there. We've got Juan Samuel looking for some hits in that magic bat. Are you rich yet? No, I'm trying though. Jeff Kunkel, another great 80s baseball name. Lance Parrish, famous failed free agent catcher at this point in his career. Forgive the noise in the background. My cats are tearing up some of their Christmas gifts, apparently. There's Larry McWilliams again with the gum stain. Chili Davis, we've talked about him. I love, the Angels cards. I remember this from 89 Topps, where you had kind of the reddish pink and the purple outline. Not my favorite colors, but they just stand out. You always remember those. Terry, don't call me Fred McGriff, striking out apparently with the Cincinnati Reds. Andy Bennis, your #1 draft pick card. This is one of the few draft pick big rookie cards that actually panned out. Topps was always taking a risk with the #1 draft pick cards. Some fared well, others not so much. Jeff Robinson with a rather boxy Pittsburgh Pirates hat there. We got Wes Gardner of the Red Sox. Mike Greenwell looking off into space with the all-star look here with the Red Sox. Will Tejada of the Expos, and one more Expo here, Neil Heaton, wrapping up our pack there. All right, so we've had some very interesting Hall of Fame names. We've had some Hall of Fame gum stains, too. Trying to find that Ryan Sandberg. Where did that one go? Yeah, here we go. Classic-looking Ryan Sandberg. Oh, I love that card. Oh, never mind. Oopsie. But still, a lot of fun to open these cards up. And maybe I'll get a few of the cards that I need to finish the hand collating of the set that I have. I'm down to about 30 or 40 cards. So again, for a $5 or $6 purchase, well, why not? It's fun, and whatever I can't put together in the hand collation goes off to the great charity Commons for Kids. So we will talk about 89 Tops. We'll talk about the wonderful Topps Company store with furball and puffy painted sweatshirts. And of course, we'll talk about this nemesis, alive and well in 1989. That's coming up on our next podcast. Look for it this Friday via Audio Boom, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Stitcher, Blueberry, Google Play, and also Spotify. And make sure you follow us on Wax and Gum Stains. Why? Because as you have seen in this pack of 89 Tops, there's still plenty of wax and gum stains to be found in this wonderful hobby of ours. I'm Matt Sammon. Thanks for watching the Wax Ecstatic Pack Break.